The stars over the Orion front shimmered with their usual calm, but Commander Orrin Holt knew something was wrong long before the alarms began to sing. On the bridge of the TSS Vindicator, sensors pulsed in frantic waves, projecting spirals of collapsing light across the holographic table. Stellar signatures were vanishing. Entire systems, their one heartbeat, gone the next. Lieutenant Vina, an Elindri officer whose crystalline skin refracted the dim lighting, stiffened as data cascaded down his console. "Commander, the Kepler 992 array has gone dark. Not damaged, erased." Orrin leaned closer. The hologram displayed a black void where a bright, stable star should have been. No debris from ships, no atmospheric tails from shattered planets, just abrupt silence, like a candle snuffed in a sealed room. "Run the gravimetric logs again," Orrin ordered. "They've been running non-stop," Vina replied, voice thin. "The star collapsed in under 5 seconds. That shouldn't be possible." It wasn't. Nothing known to science could compress a star so quickly, not even controlled detonation patterns or artificial singularities. Orrin's jaw tightened. Captain Lyra Jeanne approached from the tactical station. Her stride carried the controlled urgency of someone used to handling crises without letting fear slip through. Long-range telescopes confirm the system's orbital paths collapsed inward. Whatever did this consumed everything from the inside out. Orrin exhaled slowly. "Send the reports to the Federation Council. Request emergency assembly, highest priority." Lyra's eyebrows rose. "You think they'll actually act?" "I think they'll argue," Orrin said. "But this isn't a border skirmish. Something is sweeping systems clean." Lyra nodded without further comment. She understood the weight behind his words. As the council transmission cued, Orrin studied the void again. Humanity owed the galaxy its survival. The Federation had once responded to Earth's desperate call, sending fleets to push back the Velkari swarm. Earth had lived because alien captains had fought and died. Humanity never forgot. But in the decades since, the Federation had grown more comfortable with endless debate than decisive action. Orrin didn't have the luxury. The council chamber flickered into view, an amphitheater of species in hovering platforms, features lit by the cold artificial glow of the chamber sky. Orrin stood tall. His dark uniform contrasted the shimmering robes and luminescent fabrics of the alien delegates. Councillor Reshtar, a serpentine char with shifting scale patterns, coiled forward. "Commander Holt, your report claims a star collapsed in seconds. Explain how this is possible." "If we knew," Orrin replied evenly, "we would not be asking for your support." Murmurs rippled across the chamber. A Volcar representative slammed a molten fist against his podium, scattering sparks. "This is absurd. Stars do not vanish. Terrans exaggerate." Orrin kept his tone controlled. "I'm sending you the raw sensor logs. They show the exact timing of the collapse and the subspace distortions preceding it." Streams of data filled the chamber. The murmurs shifted from skepticism to unease. Councillor Lythe, a soft-spoken Nanduan whose translucent wings buzzed anxiously, reviewed the logs. "The gravitational spike is unmistakable. No natural force creates such symmetry. That's why we need to mobilize the defense fleets," Orrin said. "This wasn't a cosmic accident. Something took that star." The council hesitated, glancing among themselves. Reshtar tightened her coils. Even if true, deploying fleets so quickly risks provoking any neighboring powers who misinterpret our movement. Orrin clenched his hands behind his back. A system didn't dissolve because of a political misunderstanding. If we wait for more proof, we may lose half the sector. The council shifted into discussion mode. Voices intertwined, contradicting, bargaining. They spoke of risk, balance, treaties, optics. None spoke of action. Orrin lowered his gaze for a moment. The Federation that once saved Earth had grown afraid of its own responsibility. Minutes felt like hours before Reshtar turned back. "The Council will not authorize mass mobilization. We will observe further developments before committing military assets." Lyra's image flickered at the corner of the display, whispering, "They're hesitating while stars die." Orrin's voice stayed steady. "Councillors, with respect, observation implies we have time. We do not. If the Kepler system was consumed by an unknown hostile force, hesitation invites catastrophe. Reshtar's scales shifted to a final, immovable black. Decision stands. You may investigate further, but you will not mobilize fleets. The chamber dimmed as the transmission ended. Lyra walked up beside Orin. That went exactly as badly as expected. They're scared, Orin said quietly. Scared people cling to inaction. He left the bridge and headed toward the private briefing room. Through the windows, Earth's moon rose against the endless dark. The Terran Vanguard fleet, sleek, angular ships bristling with experimental engineering, glinted under reflected starlight. Humanity had anticipated this moment. If the Federation ever faltered, humans would act alone. Orin activated the secure channel. A hologram of Admiral Seraphine Vale, head of Terran Defense, appeared. You saw the Council's decision, Orin said. I did. Her expression was controlled steel. The Federation has forgotten what it means to stand for something. We don't have that luxury, Orin replied. Vale nodded. The Vanguard is yours. Use it. As the transmission faded, Orin allowed himself one breath of gratitude. Humanity had once been helpless. Now it possessed the means to shield the galaxy that once sheltered it. They would not allow history to repeat. Moments later, the bridge comms flared. Commander, Vina said, voice hollow, we have another distress call. Outer Colony Virella 3. You need to hear this. Orin stepped onto the bridge as the transmission crackled into life. Static laced the message, but the terror in the voice cut through. This is Virella 3. Something vast just entered the system, no known signature. Our star is destable. A thunderous rumble followed. The connection jittered before a final whisper broke through. They are coming. They are endless. The screen went black. Silence gripped the bridge. Even the hum of the engines felt subdued, as if the ship itself sensed the gravity of the moment. Orin straightened. We've hesitated long enough. Signal the Vanguard. Prepare all wings for rapid deployment. Lyra gave a sharp nod. What's our objective? To find whatever is doing this, Orin said, and stop it before it reaches anyone else. He turned to the crew, voice firm, unwavering. Humanity once received help when all seemed lost. Now the galaxy faces that same darkness. We repay our debt today. The Vindicator's engines ignited with a deep, resonant thrum. The stars ahead shimmered as the jump drive aligned. Orin Holt took his seat at the command chair. Execute jump, he said. And the Terran Vanguard leapt into the unknown. The jump to the Kepler disaster zone slammed the Vindicator out of subspace with a violent shudder. Alarms flickered for a heartbeat before the stabilizers caught hold. The viewport presented a sight that felt wrong on a level Orin couldn't articulate. Nothing remained of the system. The star at the center had been reduced to a faint, swirling residue, gas and charged particles drifting in a slow spiral, as if the heart of the system had been scooped out. The planets, once locked in orderly orbits, were pulverized into metallic dust drifting across the void. It was destruction without chaos. Too clean. Too deliberate. Lyra's breath hitched. Commander, look at that. Shapes moved within the drifting haze, massive silhouettes gliding on silent trajectories. Orin magnified the image. They weren't ships in any conventional sense. These things had skeletal frames wrapped in translucent membranes, glowing veins pulsing inside them like trapped lightning. Their movement was unsettlingly fluid, as if they swam through vacuum on instinct rather than propulsion. Vina's voice trembled despite his crystalline composure. Unknown entities detected. No emissions consistent with known drives. Orin leaned forward. Track their motion. Are they feeding on the debris? Not feeding, Vina said. Absorbing. The dust is thinning around them. Lyra activated tactical display overlays. Commander, they're converging. They've noticed us. The closest entity peeled away from the drifting matter and curved toward the Vindicator with predatory certainty. The others followed, hundreds falling into formation like a swarm responding to a shared command. Orin didn't waste a second. Battle stations. Charge the rail lances. Load subspace-tipped rounds. The crew moved with disciplined urgency. No fear-driven chaos, only sharp, silent efficiency. The first hostile closed in. Its elongated form expanded, membranes stretching until a storm of bioluminescent fibers ignited along its length. An energy pulse built inside it, growing brighter and brighter. Lyra saw it at the same moment Orin did. Brace. A beam of concentrated radiation fired, skimming the Vindicator's port side. The shields flared violently, shedding sparks that skipped across the floor before dissolving. Orin gripped the railing. Return fire. All forward batteries. The rail lances thundered. Slugs accelerated to near-light speed streaked toward the creature. The first shot pierced its membrane, tearing a glowing wound through its core. The creature twisted, shrieking in a frequency that made the hull quiver. Vena's display flooded with readings. It's destabilizing. Another hit will. Lyra fired again without waiting. The second slug tore the creature apart, scattering its luminous innards across the void like shredded stardust. But as its remains drifted, the other creatures altered their approach. Their lines tightened. Their movements sharpened, as though the death of one had taught the swarm something new. "Commander," Vena whispered, "they adapt." The second wave attacked with a different pattern, weaving unpredictably. One spiraled beneath the ship, latching onto the lower hull with curved appendages that fused directly into the shield barrier. The shield layer rippled and thinned where the creature fed. Orin's voice cut through the tension. "Roll the ship. Shake it off." The Vindicator rotated sharply. The creature clung harder, membrane compressing, glowing more intensely as it drained energy. Lyra slammed her fist against the shield control. "It's drinking our defense field." Orin made the call instantly. "Divert power from shields. Overload that section." Vena hesitated. "That could rupture the lower conduits." "It will if you take too long," Orin replied. Lyra keyed in the command. "Overloading now." A flash burst across the hull. The creature burst open, releasing a sizzling wave of organic debris that dissipated into the void. But the swarm didn't break. More approached, larger ones, their cores pulsing with the glow of half-digested star matter. Orin steadied his breathing. "We need unpredictable vectors. One pattern is enough for them to adapt." Lyra punched new coordinates, initiating erratic drift jumps. The ship flickered in and out of microjumps, blinking across short distances in unpredictable angles. The swarm floundered, several overshooting their trajectories or colliding with each other in confusion. Orin seized the moment. "Fire on anything lagging behind. Hit their center masses." Rail lances spat silver death across the void. One by one, targets ruptured, their bodies collapsing inward like dying stars. For a brief moment, the battlefield tilted in humanity's favor. Then the largest creature emerged. It was colossal, longer than the Vindicator, its spinal structure glowing with fractured starfire. Its approach silenced the bridge. The swarm drifted aside as if bowing. "Commander," Vena said quietly, this one has consumed something enormous. Its readings are off the scale." Lyra's voice tightened. "We might not scratch it." Orin studied the creature. The glow inside its core pulsed in a sequence, familiar, rhythmic. Then realization struck. "It's processing energy the same way subspace gates do," he said. "If we overload it, force it to swallow too much energy at once, it might lose cohesion." Lyra frowned. "How do you feed energy to something that wants to kill you?" Orin answered with the kind of plan only humans would dare attempt. "We give it exactly what it wants." He turned toward Vena. "Prepare a subspace bomb. Minimal yield. Detonate it once the creature consumes it." Vena's eyes widened. "That weapon hasn't been tested in live conditions." "It will be today," Orin said. Lyra maneuvered the ship into a narrow arc, drawing the giant creature closer. The membranes along its sides stretched as it approached, reacting to the energy signature of the armed device. "It's taking the bait," Lyra murmured. The creature opened its maw, if such a term even applied, to reveal a cavern of flickering energy fields. The bomb drifted forward, pulled by the creature's gravitational intake. Stand by, Orin warned. Seconds stretched. The creature swallowed the device. Its core surged. Detonate, Orin commanded. The explosion didn't look like a typical blast. It folded space around the creature's core, compressing its internal structure in a violent, silent implosion. Light burst outward in a spiral of fractured energy. When it faded, nothing remained of the creature but scattered remnants. The swarm broke instantly. Those still intact scattered in a disorganized retreat, fleeing into the drifting debris fields. Silence reclaimed the bridge. Lyra exhaled shakily. We just drove off something that eats stars. Orin didn't answer. He stared at the ruined system on the display. The swarm had only been a vanguard. Send a sector-wide alert, he said quietly. We need to warn every colony within reach. Vina nodded. What should we tell them? Orin spoke with grim certainty. That the things that consumed Kepler are heading toward inhabited space. And we're the only line standing in their way. Far across the void, another star flickered on the sensors. Then it dimmed. Then it died. Lyra's expression hardened. They're spreading. Orin straightened, the decision already made. We take the fight to them, he said. Humanity owes the galaxy a debt. Today, we start paying it back. And the Vindicator set course toward the next vanishing star. The alarms aboard the Vindicator rang before the crew could settle from the last battle. Fresh coordinates streamed across the main display, another system gone silent. Orin Holt studied the data in stillness. 3 stars. 3 systems. Each erased faster than the one before. Lyra stepped to his side. They're moving in a straight corridor. You see it, don't you? He nodded. Toward Sol. The words hung in the air like a final sentence. Humanity's birthplace lay at the end of a line of extinguished suns. We don't have weeks, Lyra said. The Dominion's speed is increasing. Orin didn't correct her. The creatures were no longer just consuming, they were accelerating, as though feeding made them faster. Plot a course back to Lunar Command, he ordered. We need to prepare Earth's defenses before the Council decides to hold another debate. The jump back to the Sol frontier revealed how far humanity had pushed its technological reach. Orbital rings encircled Earth's moon like metallic halos. Stationed along them were fortress cannons, drone nests, and transit docks large enough to berth entire fleets. Massive Terran warships moved between them with disciplined precision. The Vindicator threaded through the traffic lanes and docked at the primary command node. Orin took the first transit shuttle to the war room spire rising above the ring. Inside, Admiral Seraphine Vale stood over a rotating projection of Sol's defensive grid. Several senior officers filled the room, along with a few foreign observers, Nanduan scouts, Elindri strategists, even a pair of stoic Volcar war elders. Vale turned as Orin approached. You saw the latest scans. Yes, Orin said. They aren't just destroying systems anymore. They're clearing a path. Lyra spread the star map out to full scale. Based on the pattern of collapses, they'll reach the outer Sol stations in less than 29 days. A quiet tension rippled through the room. Vale clasped her hands behind her back. And the Council? Still frozen, Orin said. They won't commit their fleets until they have absolute confirmation of the enemy's intentions. The Volcar elder let out a low growl, heat rising from his throat vents. Intentions? Stars are dying. Orin met Vale's stare. We can't wait for approval. If the Federation wants to sit still, they can watch us do what they refuse to. Vale gave a slight nod. Then we proceed without them. Humanity's preparations unfolded with ruthless efficiency. Shipyards glowed with the heat of accelerated construction. Engineers replaced defensive lines with energy vortices built to twist gravitational fields. New drone clouds launched hourly, each swarm shaped by algorithms that anticipated Korth movements. The orbital rings pulsed with renewed power. But even as the Sol system braced itself, another front required attention. Alien envoys arrived in steady waves, some pleading for protection, others offering troops. Some simply came out of fear. A delegation of Elindri consultors met Orin in a quiet chamber overlooking Earth, their crystalline forms reflecting blue starlight. Our worlds have no defenses capable of stopping what you fought, the leader Lindri said. We seek shelter behind your lines. You're welcome among us, Orin replied. But understand, the battle ahead won't spare anyone. If you join us, you fight beside us. The Elindri bowed. Then we stand with you. Not all conversations were so straightforward. A group of Naryn diplomats accused humanity of provoking the Korth by destroying a vanguard creature. Orin listened until one of them said, "Your aggression may draw them toward Sol." Then I should have let them continue? Orin asked evenly. Should I have waited for them to hollow out more systems? The diplomat stiffened. Your actions may cost the galaxy. Orin cut him off. The galaxy is already paying. Humanity didn't start this war. But we'll end it. The Naryn left without responding. 3 days later, the Federation Council summoned Orin to a full-session broadcast. Vale insisted he attend, even knowing what they intended to say. The chamber appeared again in the holofield, same faces, same postures, same wary distance. Councillor Reshtar spoke first. Commander Holt, we have reviewed your unauthorized engagement. You used prohibited weapons. I used the only tools capable of stopping them, Orin replied. The Council cannot condone rogue action, Reshtar pressed. You risk destabilizing territory beyond Terran jurisdiction. Orin kept his voice composed. A star is not territory. A dying sun does not ask who governs its orbit. Another councillor leaned forward. You must stand down until we establish a coordinated, lawful response. Lyra, standing behind Orin, muttered under her breath, they want to slow us down. Orin spoke clearly. Councillors, the Dominion's advance is not hypothetical. They are consuming life at a scale you cannot imagine. If we wait for protocol, Sol will fall. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Councillor Lythe fluttered her translucent wings anxiously. You ask us to risk the Federation's entire fleet. You risk everything by doing nothing, Orin answered. The chamber fell silent. Reshtar finally delivered the official decision. The Council will not mobilize. You will restrict Terran operations to defensive measures only. Do you understand, Commander Holt? Orin stared at the projection, seeing not delegates but a galaxy paralyzed by its own fear. No, he said. I understand that humanity is alone again. And we will fight anyway. He cut the transmission. Word of Orin's defiance spread quickly. Within hours, several Federation captains sent encrypted messages. Our people owe yours a debt. We will fight. The Council is blind. We choose action. Transmit your coordinates, we'll join your line. By the next day, small fleets arrived at the Sol frontier, Elindri corvettes, Volcar warcruisers, Nanduan skimmers. Fractured banners united under one cause. Lyra watched the incoming formations with a rare smile. They're choosing to follow us. Orin felt something stir pride, tempered by the weight of responsibility. Then we make their choice count. When the Korth arrived, no telescope saw them first. The warning came as a distortion in the fabric of space itself. A creeping dark arc stretched across the void, bending starlight, crushing everything in its shadow. Then shapes emerged, vast silhouettes the size of floating continents, cores burning like stolen fragments of collapsed suns. Behind them trailed endless ranks of lesser creatures, moving with cold synchronization. Vina whispered, they've come for Sol. Lyra straightened. Arm every platform. Bring the grid online. Orin stepped to the central console. The defense net around Earth lit up rings, satellites, drones, carriers forming a shimmering lattice of firepower. He raised his voice so every ship in the Allied fleet could hear. This is Commander Orin Holt. The Dominion believes we will break as those before us did. They believe we will run. They are wrong. Today, we stand not as species, not as scattered worlds, but as defenders of every star they've stolen. He paused. Humanity once lived because the galaxy answered our call. Today, we answer theirs. The fleets aligned. The Korth advanced. And the battle for Sol began. The Korth Dominion descended on Sol like a drifting eclipse, silent, colossal, and mercilessly deliberate. Their vanguard glided through the dark with fluid certainty, cores glowing with the stolen energy of dead stars. The largest creature, a biotitan the size of a drifting archipelago, pierced the void ahead of the swarm. Its core pulsed in jagged intervals, bending the surrounding space as if the vacuum itself strained to escape its presence. On the Vindicator, Orrin Holt stood at the central command platform, watching the formation tighten around Earth. The orbital rings brightened, their energy conduits drawn to full charge. Support fleets locked into defensive arcs. Every captain held their breath. Lyra monitored the tactical grid. All units reporting ready. Defense lines holding positions. Broadcast to every allied ship, Orrin said. This is our stand. We keep Sol alive. A chorus of acknowledgements filled the comms, Elindri tones like resonant chimes, Volcar voices crackling with internal heat, human commanders answering with steady resolve. The unity was fragile but real. Then the Korth began their assault. A wave of subspace distortion rolled across the system as dozens of Korth organisms discharged crackling tendrils of compressed energy. They struck the outer defense rings and detonated in bursts of white fire. Shields flared but held. Drone swarms swept out in coordinated spirals, intercepting smaller Korth feeders with disciplined precision. Return fire, Orrin commanded. Earth's rings released a barrage of concentrated plasma lances. Human cruisers fired rail slugs with thunderous cadence. Volcar warships erupted in molten jets that burned paths through the lesser Korth. Elindri vessels deployed shimmering harmonics that destabilized approaching enemies long enough for the front line to tear them apart. The initial exchange shredded hundreds of Korth creatures, scattering their remains across the void. But the main threat had not yet moved. Vina's voice trembled. The biotitan is charging its core. It's preparing a directed collapse pulse. Orrin sharpened his gaze on the shifting structure. The biotitan's membranes contracted around its glowing nucleus, forming tight concentric patterns. Lyra's voice was taut. If it fires that at Sol. I know, Orrin said. Keep our shield harmonics focused on its output. The biotitan unleashed the pulse. For an instant, the void shone like a newborn sun. The gravitational blast slammed into the defense grid, sending waves of distortion rippling through every ship. Orrin gripped the railing as the deck shuddered. Lights flickered. Several smaller vessels spiraled out of formation as their engines sputtered under the pressure. Reports flooded in. Shield Ring 3 offline. Nanduan frigate lost propulsion. Volcar cruiser breached, evacuating survivors. Orrin steadied himself. We hold the line. Adjust our formation. Bring all long-range artillery to bear on that Titan. The Vindicator's rail lances charged, glowing like heated silver. Across the fleet, artillery platforms aligned. On Orrin's command, they fired. The barrage converged on the Titan's flank. Impact after impact ripped open parts of its massive structure. Glowing matter spilled out in thick streams, but the Titan barely slowed. Instead, its membranes hardened, forming a barrier that shrugged off most of the incoming fire. Lyra cursed softly. It's adapting faster than the others. It'll keep adapting, Orrin said. Unless we shatter the anchor that binds them. Vina turned sharply. Commander, that would require bypassing the Titan's external layers and detonating a destabilizer inside its core. Lyra's eyes widened. No standard deployment can get close enough. Orrin knew what she feared he would say. I can. Lyra stepped forward as if to physically block the idea. Absolutely not. There's no alternative, Orrin replied. The anchor is somewhere inside its central lattice. If we don't break it, the Dominion will overwhelm us. Lyra's voice lowered. Let someone else. No one else has studied their structure as closely, Orrin said. And no one else has piloted a destabilizer under live conditions. She held his stare. Beneath her composure lay the quiet understanding of someone watching a friend walk toward a door that would not open again. Orrin placed a hand on her shoulder. You'll take command when I launch. Lyra swallowed. Then give me one promise, don't hesitate. If you see an opening, take it. I will. He turned to Vina. Prep the destabilizer module. Minimum yield necessary to collapse the anchor. Vina bowed his crystalline head. I'll have it ready. Minutes later, Orin stood in the Vindicator's auxiliary launch bay, suited in reinforced exo-armor. The destabilizer module hummed on the small strike craft's hull, an ominous, spherical device etched with containment sigils and pulsing arcs of violet energy. Lyra joined him. We'll buy you a path. The moment you reach the Titan's core, we'll pull back the fleet to avoid the implosion radius. Orin nodded. Protect Earth while I'm inside. We will. The bay doors opened. Orin launched into the void. The strike craft darted through battlefield chaos, plasma streaks, ruptured membranes, detonating Korth fragments. The Bio-Titan loomed ahead, an impossible mountain of living machinery. Its internal light flickered like a captured star trapped behind skeletal walls. Lyra coordinated the fleet over comms. Clear a corridor. All units, suppress fire around the Titan's midpoint. Orin maneuvered through the opening as Allied ships blasted aside interceptors. The Titan sensed his approach, membranes shifting to intercept him. Tendrils of crackling energy lashed outward. Orin weaved between them, engines screaming. The strike craft dove into a gash torn open earlier by the fleet's artillery. The interior pulsed with scorching heat and flickering currents of raw power. Organic conduits beat like arteries. Metallic ribs curved overhead like the inside of an ancient cathedral. Vena's voice echoed through the link. Anchor reading ahead. Follow the energy gradient. Orin pushed deeper. The Titan reacted violently, corridors sealing, membranes thickening, gravitational surges dragging at the craft. Warning lights blazed across the console. Almost there, he muttered. The core chamber opened before him, vast and blinding. At its center hovered the anchor, a lattice of crystalline matter suspended in a swirling vortex of compressed subspace. Its rhythm matched the distortions tearing across the Sol system. Orin released the destabilizer. It drifted toward the anchor like a falling spark. The Titan's internal systems convulsed, sending arcs of energy lashing toward the device. Orin fired thrusters to stay aligned, shielding the destabilizer with the craft's hull until it embedded in the core's edge. Lyra's voice crackled, strained. Orin, get out of there. He watched the destabilizer's charge build. The anchor vibrated, cracks spreading like icy fractures. I can't outrun the implosion, Orin said quietly. Lyra's breath caught. Orin. Tell the fleet to brace. Silence held for a single heartbeat. Then he whispered, for Earth. He triggered the detonation. The core erupted in a silent storm of collapsing space. Light folded, inverted, and then burst outward. The Titan convulsed as its entire body lost cohesion, its membranes shredding into radiant dust. The remaining Korth forces disintegrated as the anchor's destruction severed their link to subspace. Above Earth, the dark arc receded. The Dominion's presence vanished like smoke in a storm. In the aftermath, the fleets gathered in solemn quiet. The Vindicator drifted among them, scarred but unbroken. Lyra stood at the forward viewport, watching Sol burn steady and bright. Vena approached softly. Commander Holt saved the system. Lyra nodded, voice steady. And the Federation will remember why humanity stands. Below, Earth rotated in tranquil silence. Across the galaxy, whispers began to spread. The Korth fell at Sol. Humanity stood its ground. When the debt came due, they paid it with fire. Lyra placed a hand on the glass. We'll carry his legacy, she said. And far beyond Sol, the stars shone a little brighter. Freed from the shadow that had nearly consumed them.